to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Married to Medicine, Season 11, Episode 14.
Listen, next week is the finale of the season. It felt like this season went by pretty fast.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I was waiting to get all the information from this season to release the deep dives. I know y'all see a lot of deep dives for Married at First Sight. I got some deep dives for Married to Medicine that I want to talk about with my wife and with y'all, but I just need more information because I'm trying to be right. I ain't trying to be wrong.
Okay.
Subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Walk us through this episode, please.
So Dr. Simone visits Dr. Jackie at her office.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dr. Jackie says Phadra gave her the $40K, so they met their $100K goal for the Med Gala.
Nice.
Phadra is not going to come back around the group anymore. She felt like the Apollo invite was too much. Jackie asked her, didn't she talk to Heavenly about it? And Simone says that she invited Apollo to New York last year. Phadra thought that New York was a more controlled setting, and he gets upset when he sees her with other men. Simone says, well, Phadra made the decision to bring Apollo knowing that Shek was coming, so she is part to blame. Jackie said that she was surface level with the group, and maybe she wasn't here for honest reasons.
That's fair.
Simone doesn't know how they can be together as a group if Greg is going to be pressing charges, and she plays the video of Greg and his music talents for Dr. Jackie.
Man. Listen, they was cracking up, man. He had Dr. Jackie grabbing her crotch, doing dancing and stuff like that. Listen here, man. Phadra did not come here for pure reason. She came on here because it was basically her one step to get to back home to where she is, and that is Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? But I will say this, that doesn't take away the fact that, guess what? Y'all are mean girls. You get what I'm saying? And Phadra, I think she realized that, there's no level. If I want to get back on TV in good graces with the audience, right? The way y'all play, I can't do that again because I wasted all my bullets on Atlanta and things like that. So I think, I'm not saying that Phadra is above the mess, but I think for her best interest of getting back into the good light with people, she just be like, you know what, I'm going to leave and things like that. Because Phadra ain't no angel at all, And
something we were talking about too while we were watching it is that this group really does come after the new girls and puts them through the ringer in such a way that it's hard for anybody to actually be a staple on the show. I mean, we have the core cast pretty much from season 1, which is like a great feat and which is really nice to see their growth and progression, but they really don't allow anyone to come in and really make space and be part of the group fully. And I don't know if that's necessarily their fault, something about production, or maybe the individuals, but I feel like they've had some really heavy hitters. Like, I know we always talk about, oh my gosh, Buffy, but yes, I thought Buffy was an amazing addition to the show. I really enjoyed her.
But you saw what Dr. Jackie did to Buffy.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like these ladies do go hard. They do.
And then on top of that, like, I'm not even talking about the Sweet Teas and the Phadras. I think they shouldn't have got in the bed with Phadra to begin with, right? I think that was a desperate call for desperate measures, and y'all just at that time y'all got out of the spirit of the show. Phadra's not she's not quite in a position of where she could just come on and she's not a doctor and not married to a doctor. We don't even know if she's in a relationship. And y'all brought her on just for the namesake. That's when you kind of get into the rim of, y'all kind of selling out a little bit because you're just trying to bring names on the show. I'm talking about specifically, y'all had doctors on the show and things like that, female doctors and basically people who basically, like, every time they join, y'all give them a hard time. I actually remember when Contessa first came on. Y'all gave her a hard time. You get what I'm saying? So it's 10 years in, or rather 10 seasons in, and we still got this core cast. I'm just saying, man, y'all like Dr. Mimi now. Wait till next season. You know what I mean? Wait till next season.
Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Contessa meet up for lunch. They are working on moving forward. Heavenly says, both of us played a part, and she would like Contessa to admit to some of her wrongdoing. Heavenly did say, if you're going to stay in your relationship, you need to stop talking trash about your husband. And then we see the clip, and she was basically cussing at her, stop talking ish, the way that only Heavenly can. And she also said, Contessa, you used the word volatile. Contessa says, well, that's not abusive. It hurt for Heavenly to go online and talk about her and her relationship in that way, and they agreed to disagree.
So what was the point of the conversation, Contessa? I can tell you, you just want to be back in. You just want to be friends with Dr. Heavenly, right? You thought that, okay, Dr. Jackie get these special treatments in the sense of that, Dr. Heavenly's not really going to go in and go hard on Dr. Jackie, but Dr. Heavenly, I do feel like her and Dr. Jackie are friends, and I do feel like it's genuine, but also it's a business it's a business partnership. Dr. Jackie is the face of the show, and Dr. Heavily became one of the faces of the show by being close to Dr.
She's
Jackie.
The drama of the show.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people. A lot of people, when they see Dr. Heavily, they think of Married to Medicine because of YouTube. Now, I will say, Contessa, I'm going to keep saying this because you keep gaslighting us. Dr. Heavily did not bring to the show anything that you did not bring first. And only. You get what I'm saying? More times than not, Dr. Heavily was reiterating what you were saying and things of that nature. But you know what this scene made me think of?
What's that?
It made me think of Sweet Tea. Right? Because they basically brought Contessa on here to basically give Sweet Tea some type of backing, at least a friend on the show and things of that nature, right? And if Dr. Heavily and Contessa are basically mending that bridge, that really leaves Sweet Tea on an island by herself because she's not, Phadra's not on the show no more, right? And Contessa is friends with Dr. Heavily. Who is really there to really be an ally to Sweet Tea?
I think Contessa tried to play the middle very poorly this episode, if I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
But I think she did try to play the middle and try to play the bridge and the gap.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yeah.
But I do think that when it comes to Heavenly and Contessa, you got to find a way forward. You got to have resolution in these shows, or the group is fractured and it makes for a terrible show.
That is true.
So I think that Contessa is just kind of like rolling with the punches and trying to work to get over her riff with Heavenly, because honestly, the argument is so exhausting. Because like you said, Contessa, you brought all of this to camera. You was the one shaking and crying in the back when Scott was talking and all this type of stuff, like acting. Maybe you were just stressed out by the weight of what was going on in the marriage, but someone, or even the way I thought at the time is like it kind of looked like a battered woman going on. So I think that Contessa hasn't taken any responsibility in the fact that she brought a lot of this stuff to camera. People interpreted it how they saw fit, and if the interpretation is wrong, she said her piece about it wasn't abusive. So that's what we have to go off of.
That's all we got to go off of. Okay.
So Contessa is having a health fair with the American Diabetes Association. She wants everyone to come and participate. Heavenly says it's irresponsible to have everyone come when there's drama and charges going around. And I would have to say, I agree with Dr. Heavenly.
I don't. The reason why listen, right message, wrong messenger. Because at the end of the day, you want to be very responsible because there's charges going around and don't bring everybody around. But you got Sweet Tea on the show. You got Sweet Tea on the show from the beginning, right? And now that your little plan that played out from a season ago blown up in your face, and now police is involved, now all of a sudden you want to be like, I don't think that's a good idea. No. This is the bed you lie. This is the bed you laid in. Sweet Tea this is the bed that you created. Lie in it now. Because at the end of the day, Sweet Tea is a cast member, right? Which makes Dr. Greg a supporting cast member. Quad is a cast member and things like that. Her boyfriend is supporting her. Guess what? This is what you wanted. You got it now.
And I guess my thing is that I think that with Dr. Heavenly, I agree with you that she kind of like created, the bed, so to speak, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But when it gets to this level of intensity, I do think that you got to be a little bit more mindful of how you want to put the group together.
That is true.
I feel like when police are involved, people talk about pressing charges, talking about jail time for people. I think it is a little bit irresponsible for you to, possibly be a contributor to putting people in situations to where things can go south.
That is true.
So I agree with you that probably wrong messenger because she helped to create the issue. But the fact that we're here, let's not make it worse.
Well, I say then y'all, Dr. Heavily, orchestrate a scene to where Greg and King can talk then.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the reason why I agree with what you're saying and the reason why I don't agree with the spirit of what you're saying, right, is because when Dr. Heavily say, I don't think that's smart to put everybody together, who is going to be on the outside? Sweet Tea and Dr. Greg.
Right.
So basically you saying that Sweet Tea can't work. She can't earn a living on this show because when we all together, because that's how we all going to be, right? Sweet Tea can't come. And I'm like, that's not fair to her because she's a cast member now. You made her a cast member for 2 seasons in a row. So now that she's a cast member, she has equal I feel like she should have equal say and equal right to give back to the community as they do every season. You get what I'm saying? Don't try to basically put her on the outs because of what you orchestrated from like a season ago. No, she's a cast member. And guess what? Unless they are working or something happened, they always give back and serve the community, and Sweet Tea should be part of that.
And I will say, just to add to that, you know, if we want to look at it from a different perspective, is all these people are grown. If Contessa wants to throw an event and invite everybody, then whatever situation you got going on, then you need to be mindful of your situation.
That's true.
So moving on, Eugene's toe got broken.
Oh, Eugene.
Right before the dance.
Come on, Eugene. I think he broke it himself.
Okay. Toya tried to have tea over... Well, Toya talked to T. She feels like if she would take some responsibility in the situation and take that conversation to Greg, then maybe they can both talk about the mistakes that they've made and talk about how they could do better when it comes to the group setting.
Okay.
Eugene said that Quad wasn't our friend last year. We just met King. G and T probably feel like that we're not taking their side. He thinks that Greg and T might need to take some time to think if this is the best place for them.
What it sounds like to me, it sounds like they trying to fire y'all. Because really, at the end of the day, I really don't understand Toya's POV when it comes to Sweet Tea taking responsibility. Help me with that, Blair.
Well, I think because Sweet Tea can sometimes be a loose cannon.
And granted, I think she is a loose cannon. I think for sure. I guess they feel like there can only be room for one loose cannon on this show, and that's Dr. Heavenly.
Yeah.
Right? And I said on this show many times than not that like a lot of y'all do not agree with, but y'all still my friends, that I said, hey, Sweet Tea, you really need to not pigeonhole yourself and make it a Sweet Tea versus Dr. Heavenly part 62.
Yeah.
Right? Because it gets stale, right? Even Contessa knew, even with the whole talking about her husband having secret kids and them having this beef, that it's not going to do her good if she want to be on the season, if she want to be on next season. You have to tie these conflicts with a bow at the end of each season.
Right.
You can't have the same beef from previous season, even off season, when it came to what Dr. Heavenly called her husband, you know, things of that nature. But my thing is, hey, it can't be a show of Dr. Heavenly and Sweet Tea yelling at each other all day. And I think Toya's tired of it.
Yeah.
I think Toya is definitely like, hey, listen here. You're a loose cannon. We kind of let Heavenly do her thing, but you don't have the rank to be yelling and acting a fool and acting a hot mess.
And acting like you want to get physical every time.
Exactly. And I should remember that scene where, you know, Phadra was speaking in tongues and things of that nature, and they were doing a prayer circle. And Toya was just looking at her, just standing there, just looking at them like they was fools. And Toya was looking, now it's crazy that Toya is now like a leader of like a group. She's looking at this like, this is ridiculous. I don't want to have to babysit nobody.
Right.
And I do agree that Sweet Tea should take accountability, but I think Toya need to understand that how Greg feels is how Greg feels. I don't think Sweet Tea is motivating that.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
But I think they think that she might have more weight when it comes to her word in her marriage.
She don't.
But she doesn't hold weight with her words in her marriage. And that's unfortunate. You know, it is unfortunate.
Is it unfortunate? Because I will say this as a devil's advocate, right? You joined the show. You was a fan of the show. You know who Dr. Greg was and is and things of that nature. And you said, I can give you what you want. And then you said, I got access to the money.
The reason why I say it's unfortunate is because Toya is looking at it as though it's her relationship.
That's fair.
And how she's able to talk freely with Eugene, express her concerns. Toya also be complaining sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So Toya, you know, can pretty much say and do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And Eugene will actually hear her out. And that's just not Sweet Tea's dynamic.
And also she has a husband that would take the high road.
Yeah.
All the time. Sweet Tea knew who Dr. Greg was before she actually met him.
Yeah.
And there was never a time, and we watched it from season 1, there was never a time where Dr. Greg and Quad had a happy marriage, right? Never a time. They was always going at it, at least on the show. So my whole thing is, she don't have her word should be equal with her husband's in the house, but it's not, because number one, there's a big age gap between the two and things of that nature. I feel like he don't respect her as an adult.
Yeah.
And then let's add wife, and let's add new wife. You get what I'm saying? The fact that you go court this woman, move her into the house with your ex-wife clothes still in the closet, you didn't even prepare the closet for it that much. Come on now.
To the point where she had to box up the clothes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like stop it.
So King comes to Quad's house. They're going to have a date at the house, food, chilling by the pool. They talk about moving in together. Yeah. He wants them to get something together. Quad would want him to move into her home because her home is important to her. It's the first house that she purchased on her own after her divorce.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your thoughts on this scene about King is like, I ain't really with that.
Man, in reality, I feel like you should definitely go and purchase a home together to create a fresh start for you and your relationship where nobody has the upper hand over, don't put that over there, don't put that over there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I like Quad's house. Quad has an amazing house. Mm-hmm. But I can completely understand if King wants to start something fresh, you know?
Let's not put the cart in front of the horse. Let's talk about engagement. Let's talk about marriage, right? Before y'all start talking about buying property together and things of that nature, right?
I agree.
So I think even though I do believe their relationship is real, mm-hmm. I don't think it is as progressive as they are trying to show it to us on camera. I don't think they're at the place the way they are actually thinking about moving in with each other. I think that's a scene for the show, right? I think they are happy. I think they are boyfriend, girlfriend. I know a lot of people did not believe that they are together, that she basically rent a guy for the show. I think they are really together, but I don't think they are in the point in their relationship to where they are actually thinking about purchasing something together or moving in with each other, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Cecil and Simone visit their sons, Miles and Michael, at their place, which is their condo. Mm-hmm. It's still dirty in there. Yeah. And it is in violation of the contract. Simone says that for people who buck the system, you have to move back home, which we will not be happy about. They discuss the mortgage and the bills in order to afford the place for the month, which they're not expecting them to afford the place, but they do want to take a percentage of what they make to put towards the bills. She wants the boys to show their appreciation and to grow up.
Here's the thing. You can't tell a grown man nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, they ain't grown. They both over 18. Mm-hmm. Hell, I think they both over 20. Dude, you get what I'm saying? Like I think Dr. Simone was giving an example of she wished that her sons was in a position where she was when she was 25 and things like that, because she said she started paying her bills and taking care of major responsibilities from that age on, right? It's hard to tell a grown man something. Right, that's why you really got to train up a child when they're young. And granted, I understand that probably at that time, Cecil and Simone was probably working a lot, and especially Dr. Simone and things of that nature. But it's going to be harder to teach an old dog new tricks. You get what I'm saying? So men, unfortunately, you can teach boys, but men, we learn by consequences, and the consequences is you're homeless. The consequences is you don't get to move back home. This is my house. Mm-hmm. I started walking around naked again. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to sit on that. You will get pink eye. Okay. Right? And listen here. Consequences. What is the consequence? You won't have a place to live. Yeah. That's how men learn. You get what I'm saying? Boys can be taught and trained. Men only learn by consequences.
Yeah. And I think I find it hard to speak on this just because I don't have kids, and I especially don't have adult children. So when it comes to actually getting them to take on the responsibility of being an adult, I feel like life is the best teacher when it comes to stuff like that. But I think as a parent, you still want to protect them from a lot of hardships, which might be the thing that's also holding them back. So, more power to them, I guess. Yeah. So Dr. Contessa has the diabetes awareness event. Nice. Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon are on the car on their way to the event. King apparently cannot come. Okay. Dr. Damon doesn't think it's fair that he can't come around. He feels like King was a pretty peaceful guy. Heavenly thinks that Greg couldn't stand to see Quad with another man.
Stop right there. Mm-hmm. Do you feel any type of way that King can't come?
Do I feel a way? No.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah. King is not part of the show.
I just met him.
Yeah, King is not part of the show, right? At least with Dr. Greg, I understand, Dr. Damon, that you and Dr. Greg, y'all got y'all little rift because you are referencing people to him and he ain't taking it because of what your wife called him and things of that nature. And you want to be quick to take King's side, even though you knew Greg longer and things of that nature. But it is what it is, right? My thing is, hey, Quad is the one that gets paid to be on the show, right? And at the same time, Dr. G don't got to come either, right? Sweet Tea gets paid to come on the show, right? If y'all really want a resolution, or if y'all really want everybody to be on the show, which I do not believe they do, I believe there will be some type of subliminal type of passive aggressive Dr. Greg and Sweet Tea off the show type of thing, right? To where everybody just go choose Yeah, King is cool, Quad is cool, right? Mind you, all of this whole plan with Sweet Tea and Greg was to get Quad off the show. Let's not forget that. That's the root of that. But now Dr. Heavily see the popularity of Quad and things like that, so now she switched teams. I say, hey, listen here. Get the main people who get paid to be on the show to come to these events. Because I will say this, though. Outside of the vacations, outside of the meeting at Quad's house or meeting at each other's houses, this is important. Serving the community and things like that. And that's one thing I like about the show is that even when they go to Barbados or go overseas and things like that, they do something to where it's like, you know what, let's put on our scrubs. Let's serve the community through our profession. And I like to see it.
So everyone is at the event except King, Toya, Eugene. Also, who is it? T and Greg, they come a little bit later.
Yeah.
So the doctors are doing screenings, providing health information to everyone. Steve has some former NFL players outside doing drills with the kids.
I thought that was real cool.
Yeah. Contessa says that it's a challenge to start a marriage in a group, not knowing who has your back. Mm-hmm. There needs to be some empathy for T, and this is a stressful environment, and we can choose Quad and T. Quad doesn't know what's going on with Contessa. She was just saying that she sees what she's going through, and now she's over here wanting to pick both sides.
Yeah.
Contessa says that T and Quad both come with the +1. Heavenly says not when there's a charge in place. Contessa says, Heavenly, you can go somewhere with that negativity. My thing about this is I feel like I get where Contessa is coming from and that she wants to be inclusive and wants everyone to come the same way that Toya wants everyone to come to her ball.
Yeah.
But I do think that when it's gotten to a place of charges, that there needs to be some consideration of the fact that, hey, it's something bigger at hand.
That's fair.
And it can be handled one of two ways. It could be, you know what, I just want the ladies to come. I know y'all got some stuff going on with your men, your husband, or whatever the case may be, but I want to make sure that the ladies still get together. Or you could pretty much invite everybody and allow everyone to make their own decisions according to what they've got going on. But I think that with Contessa trying to play the middle in this way, things are a little bit volatile at this point. Yeah. And I think that it's a bit unfair to play the middle. I think that T does deserve some empathy and some consideration when it comes to how they're navigating the group. But I think that T has kind of put the nail in her own coffin in a lot of different relationships to where she's probably not going to get the support that she wants. Ooh. She cussed Dr. Jackie out over here arguing with Heavenly. And the thing is, like, I'm not faulting her for arguing with Heavenly. Heavenly's disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, she's kind of dug a hole for herself that she is going to have to find a way to dig out herself. So.
And guess what? I think the cast feel that same way. I think, truth be told, listen here, Dr. Heavily, Simone, they are in our face when it comes to being the leaders of the group. But at the end of the day, I think if it comes down to like who breaks the vote, I think Dr. Jackie does.
Yeah.
And I don't think Dr. Jackie is gonna come to your aid when you randomly, as on your first season, says some F you to Dr. Jackie.
Yeah.
Like you basically dug yourself a hole right there. Mm-hmm. Even when you tried to apologize and Dr. Jackie said apologies are for you, that right there should let you know that you ain't never going to be cool with Dr. Jackie.
She closed the casket on your behind.
Yeah. You're done. You're basically just a dead man walking, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So Scott tells the guys about him and Eugene visiting with Greg. Mm-hmm. King could apparently get fined or get 90 days in jail. Damon says that he was justified in defending Quad's honor.
Okay.
King is willing to have a conversation with Greg in order to move forward, though. Mm-hmm. Scott thinks that Greg is angry more so at Quad. Mm-hmm. He doesn't think that Quad should get involved, though. Curtis says that Greg brought King into the mix.
That's fair.
No one touched anyone for police to get involved. And in this group, they handle things as a group and then move forward from there.
Yeah, I think Curtis' whole point is like, look, man, before the shirt got taken off, before even the women started like messing around, started cussing at each other, you got up with your cigar and you got up in his face and you reiterated that night. Nobody was even talking about that time.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And I think to Curtis' point, I see it from their perspective 100%. I know some people feel like, yes, he should tell the cops. I said, no, you shouldn't tell the cops because at the end of the day, we on a TV show And truth be told, we don't ever have to interact. You don't have to put no restraining order or no fine on me for us to ever see each other, because truth be told, we don't ever have to be around each other. At all. So I see it from their perspective in that way.
Contessa wants everyone to be comfortable. She knows T and Greg are on their way, so she tells Quad if she wants to head out, now is probably the time. So Heavenly heads out with Quad. Contessa says to T, we missed you at Quad's house. And I'm just like, Contessa, why would she be at Quad's house?
I don't even know why you said that.
We want to make sure you feel safe in this group. Yeah. And T does not feel mentally safe. Mimi can't tell what T wants and asks her, are you going to be able to manage your emotions when you're around the group? And T says that she has tried that. The guys talk to Greg. Steve asks if Greg is willing to drop the charges so that everyone can move forward. Greg isn't willing to be disrespected and do nothing about it. Contessa says there needs to be room for existing in a space together, not filing charges and ruining longevity in this group. Yeah. She's telling T that. Steve says other relationships are being impacted by the situation. People are being put in a position to pick a side. And Greg doesn't think the guys have his back. Having a new wife isn't easy, and maybe people do need to pick a side.
Hey, and guess what? I'm all for somebody picking a side. Like, pick a side. But just know that when you tell somebody to pick a side, don't be surprised if they don't pick your side.
Especially the people who have the most issues in the group. Exactly. So,
and I will say this to Sweet Tea. Remember why... Well, I can't even say that, because truth be told, if I'm being honest, I don't really think the reason why she got with Dr. Greg in the first place is pure. Okay. But I don't put that on her only, because I don't think the reason why Quad got with Dr. G was pure either. Because ever since season 1, they've been yelling. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think the way that Dr. G and Sweet Tea met, or the intentions in the marriage, was pure. I think it was basically based off of, hey, I could give you what you want, even though she's seen how he was treating Quad and how they was treating each other, but yet she signed up for to be married with this guy, knowing that not only he treated Quad this way, but also that he's almost over a decade older than you. Actually, he is over a decade older than you. I think almost 2 decades. However old, she's like 32, 33, and I think he's closer to 50, right? If not 50. So you put yourself in a position, and the only thing that I feel for Sweet Tea on is that, when you got the word that you was going to be on Married to Medicine, the show that you was a fan of, I bet you did not thought that it would be this way. Right. I bet you did not think that they would film without you. They would be in each other's houses without you. They would even start having discussions on, like, hey, we go pick Quad over Sweet Tea. And now it's kind of like, you know what? Sometimes you don't meet your heroes. Because when you meet them, you realize that Dr. Jackie mean, Dr. Heavely's really mean. You get what I'm saying? At first, in the first season, you all talking to Dr. Heavely, talking about, you know what? Quad didn't lie about Dr. G, and now you can't stand even talking to Dr. Heavely and things like that. So it's like, it kind of sucks. I think what's going to happen is they're not going to be on the show. And truth be told, this is the reputation of the show. They bring people on the show. They don't last longer than 2 seasons and things like that. And it just is what it is.
Yeah. I don't see how Greg and T could think being part of this group with Quad was going to be a positive experience. I mean, I guess last year maybe they felt like it would have been because Quad was on the outs with everybody. Yeah. But now that everyone is back cool with Quad, their loyalty is to her. She's been here since day one. Yeah. And that's unfortunate that they brought her in and made her feel like this was her new friend group, when in reality it wasn't. You know? And she was used as a pawn.
No, 100%. Because I think that's what happened. I think what happened was Sweet Tea was subliminally, maybe passive aggressively promised a slot on the show. And remember, when they kicked Quad off, Quad was not supposed to be on, but Twitter and social media reacted like, what is up with y'all girls? Yeah. And they did not realize the fan base that Quad had. And they had to basically go back. And then they tried to fire her again in the off season. And it didn't happen. So it's like, I really think how they pictured it was that, hey, we go get everybody who's actually Married to Medicine on this show. Yeah. And that means we go replace Quad with her ex-husband, which is foul, right? And his new wife. But guess what? I guess God had other plans. Listen here. One thing that Miss Quad say all the time, she said, listen here, man, things always gonna work out for me. And it does all the time. You know, anything else?
That's it.
Make sure y'all subscribe, like, share, comment, all the above. We see y'all.
Bye.